Imagine an empire marching into India with cannons, cavalry, and an ambition to rule an entire subcontinent. Now imagine facing them are warrior kings who value honor, loyalty, and sacrifice above everything else, men who would rather die on the battlefield than bow to any foreign power. When the Mughal Empire met the Rajput States, it was not just a war of swords and armies, but a clash of pride, culture, and identity. Fortresses echoed with battle cries, alliances were forged and broken, and legends were born that are still remembered today. This struggle would shape the political and cultural future of India for centuries. The Mughals, led by powerful rulers like Babur and later Akbar, sought to expand and stabilize their rule across northern India. The Rajputs, ruling over regions like Amba and Marwa, were fiercely independent warrior clans with a long tradition of resistance. Some Rajput rulers chose the path of alliance, while others, like the legendary Maharana Pratap, refused to submit at any cost. What makes this story unique is that the conflict was not constant. Warfare was a complex mix of battles, diplomacy, marriage alliances, and mutual respect. This video explores how the Mughal Empire and the Rajput states confronted each other, how their rivalry evolved over time, and how their choices shaped the history of the Indian subcontinent. It is a story of power versus pride, conquest versus honor, and the difficult decisions that define empires and warriors alike. In the early 16th century, India stood at the crossroads of power and invasion. The Delhi Sultanate was weakening. Regional kingdoms were rising, and from Central Asia came a new force. When Babur entered India in 1526, he brought with him not only ambition but also modern warfare, including gunpowder and field artillery. At the same time, the Rajput states dominated large parts of northern and western India. Rajputs were not a single empire, but a collection of proud warrior clans, ruling kingdoms like Muir, Amber, and Bundi. Their identity was built on honor, loyalty, and resistance. They believed submission was worse than death. From the very beginning, the meeting of Mughals and Rajputs was inevitable. One side sought empire and stability, the other sought independence and dignity. This collision would become one of the most defining struggles in Indian history. The first major clash came between Babur and the Rajputs under Rana Sanga of Muir. Rana Sanga was one of the most powerful Rajput rulers of his time and had united several Rajput clans against foreign domination. The Battle of Khanwa in 1527 was a turning point. Despite the bravery and numerical strength of the Rajputs, Babur's use of artillery and disciplined tactics gave the Mughals victory. This battle established Mughal dominance in North India, but did not break Rajput resistance. Even after Babur and his son Humayun faced internal struggles, the Rajputs remained a force to be reckoned with. They did not forget defeat, nor did they abandon their traditions. The early phase of Mughal-Rajput conflict was marked by open warfare, where swords met cannons and courage met strategy. The relationship took a dramatic turn under Emperor Akbar. Unlike his predecessors, Akbar understood that ruling India required more than military strength, it required cooperation. Akbar adopted a policy of reconciliation with the Rajputs. He offered alliances, respected Rajput customs, and married into Rajput royal families. Many Rajput rulers accepted Mughal suzerainty while retaining autonomy over their lands. They became high-ranking generals and administrators in the Mughal Empire. This alliance strengthened the empire and brought long-term stability. However, not all Rajputs accepted this path. Muir, under Maharana Pratap, stood firm against Mughal authority. The Battle of Haldighati in 1576 became legendary. Though Akbar's forces technically won, Maharana Pratap never surrendered. He retreated into the hills, waged guerrilla warfare, and reclaimed much of his territory. His resistance turned him into a symbol of Rajput honor and defiance. As time passed, Mughal-Rajput relations continued to evolve. Under emperors like Jahangir and Shah Jahan, cooperation largely prevailed. Rajputs played key roles in expanding and administering the empire. The Mughal court became a place where Persian and Rajput cultures blended, influencing art, architecture, and governance. Rajput valor strengthened Mughal military campaigns, while Mughal resources enhanced Rajput power. However, this balance was fragile. When Aurangzeb came to power, his policies marked a shift. He reimposed religious taxes, destroyed alliances built on tolerance, and sought stricter control over regional rulers. This led to renewed conflict with Rajput states, especially Marwar and Mewar. Long wars drained Mughal resources and reignited Rajput resistance. What had once been cooperation turned back into confrontation. The prolonged struggle weakened both sides. Rajputs remained proud and resilient, but were fragmented and unable to unite fully. The Mughal Empire, overstretched by constant wars, began to lose control over its vast territories. By the early 18th century, the empire was in decline, challenged by new powers like the Marathas, and later the British. Yet the legacy of Mughal-Rajput relations endured. Their conflicts and alliances shaped India's political structure, cultural, harmony, and military traditions. Rajput bravery became legendary, while Mughal administration laid the foundation for centralized governance. This was not a simple story of victory or defeat, it was a story of adaptation, resistance, and coexistence. The story of the Mughal Empire versus the Rajput states reminds us that history is rarely black and white. It is shaped by choices whether to fight, to negotiate, or to coexist. Empires rise not only through conquest, but through understanding, and warriors are remembered not only for victory but for honor. The Mughal Rajput struggle was a defining chapter in Indian history, one that teaches us that power without respect cannot last, and resistance without unity comes at a great cost. The struggle between the Mughal Empire and the Rajput states was more than a series of battles. It was a story of power, pride, and principle that shaped the Indian subcontinent for centuries. Through war and diplomacy, confrontation and cooperation, both sides left an indelible mark on history. The Mughals brought administration, architecture, and centralized governance, while the Rajputs embodied courage, honor, and unyielding resistance. Their conflicts created legends, forged alliances, and influenced the cultural and political landscape of India in ways that are still remembered today. This story reminds us that history is rarely simple. Empires rise not just through conquest but through understanding and respect, and warriors are celebrated not only for victories but for their unwavering principles. The legacy of the Mughal Rajput era teaches us that the meeting of power and honor can create both conflict and cooperation, leaving lessons for generations to come. In the end, the saga of the Mughal Empire and the Rajput states is a testament to human ambition, resilience, and the enduring influence of culture and courage on the course of history.